Hi everyone, this is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and today I have Dr. Doreste. Hi, welcome.
Hey.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the cranial release technique? Then?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Well, we had an interview it was about a year ago, and we were on for about an hour that time, I remember.
Yes.
And we're here at the FSMTA convention, obviously, and the concept behind the cranial release technique is really going back about 100 years ago to Dr. Sutherland's discovery of the cranial involuntary mechanism, the fact that all the cranial bones are moving. As a matter of fact, everything in our body is moving secondary to what Sutherland called the primary respiratory mechanism, this involuntary cranial pump, as most people call it. And so the purpose really of all cranial work is to free up the movement of this cranial pump, and that's exactly what cranial release does. The beauty of cranial release is it takes all of a minute to do. And from freeing up the cranium, you then release tension throughout the dura, you release tension into the fascia, into the musculoskeletal system, you rebalance the autonomic nervous system, and to me the real icing on the cake is you rebalance brain hemisphere activity. And in the 4-day course that I teach, which is what we call the mastery class, we get into the application of the technique, the mastery of the technique, the testing protocols that you can do, or if you can choose not to do any testing protocols, or you can use whatever you're currently using, but I teach you the ones that I happen to like, as well as the testing protocols for brain hemisphere activity without the high-tech equipment, very simple, based on orthopedics and neurological testing. That's how we do it.
And how often do you hold your workshops then?
Workshops are pretty much kind of quiet now until September, and then pretty much September until March it's going to be
constant.
Quite a few, yeah. It's going to be typically 1 or 2 a month.
Okay.
Mostly I teach in New York and Florida and Arizona. Okay. I have other instructors in New England. I have other instructors in Arkansas and Texas. So pretty much anywhere you are in the U.S. there's a seminar fairly close to you. I mean, it can't be everywhere, but you know. And the nice thing that's happening now is we're getting a lot of interest from outside the U.S. So I have people coming from Europe. I just had a naturopath from Austria. I have a chiropractor coming from Sweden. And so as the word goes out and as people go out and kind of relate their results to people, I get emails all the time through my website. You know, I went to a practitioner here in Florida. Now I'm going back home to Italy. Is there someone there? And unfortunately, the answer is no right now. So as the demand grows and as more people get trained, you know, I see more and more practitioners all over the world. And we currently have 500, of which I'll say 475 would be here in the U.S.
Okay.
And the rest would be spread out throughout the world.
And do you go through marketing things too and stuff like that?
Okay. I do. On the day 4 actually of the seminar, we handle, you know, how do you explain this to patients? How do you get out into your community and let people know? And to me, everyone would benefit by having cranial release. So for a massage therapist, a chiropractor, a naturopath, a physical therapist, whoever's going to watch this video, you really might want to consider cranial release, because whatever practitioner you are, you could certainly add cranial release into your current protocol, because remember, it takes all of a minute to do.
And is this something you'd want to start off with before you actually get into the treatments then? Right?
I always advise my students, do the cranial release first.
Okay.
And then go back and do whatever other techniques you're looking to do on top of that. That seems to work best. Yes.
And then can you finish up with that then usually?
You certainly could.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You could start off with it, do whatever other techniques you're doing, and then finish with cranial release. That's what we call a double header.
Okay. Literally. Yeah. And is there anything new going on in the cranial world then?
The new things going on that I'm aware of, well, you know, everybody keeps asking me the same question. What about the research? So, you know, we're currently in the process of running a few different projects, but as you may or may not know, you know, you need people that, I'm not a researcher, you need people that can, you know, crunch the numbers, do all that. You need the money to spend on that, and that's where we are right now.
It takes a lot of time too, with research and stuff like that. It does. Is that kind of your goal then to eventually?
Yeah, I mean, because that's the questions I always get. It sounds good, but you know, I mean, I've been doing this since 1998, so I have seen so many things change that I have no problem telling a client when they come in and say, hey doc, what about this, or what about that, or what about this problem or that problem that they have. I have no problem at all saying, let's give it a trial.
Yeah.
Come in for 10 visits, let's do the CRT, if you're not any better, if nothing changes in 10 visits, maybe this isn't for you. What I have found is I've never had anybody say that. They may come in for a shoulder problem, or for a knee problem, or a back problem, and then after a few visits they'll say, well, you know, my shoulder's a little bit better, but I'm breathing better, or I'm sleeping better, or my energy's better, or I'm going to the bathroom better, or whatever it happens to be. So they all notice changes, and that's why I'm here. People are getting off the table here at the convention like, oh my God, how could that 1 minute technique make me feel so different? And the way I sort of think of it, and the way I describe it to the people here and to my patients is, you know, imagine 100 dominoes all lined up in a row. If you hit the first one the right way, everything sort of falls in line. And that's what happens with CRT, cranial release.
Yeah, definitely. And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Good point. That's the website, which is cranialrelease.com. It's one word, cranialrelease.com.
Okay, perfect.
And from there you can order a free report, you can email me, you can call me, whatever questions you have. Be happy to speak to anybody, happy to communicate with anybody, and let you experience it and see if it's right for you.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Doc.
You got it. My pleasure, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.